Hi and welcome to my Blade mSR Beginner's Guide Part 2. In this video I'm going to go over pros and cons of the mSR, as well as a few hints and tips and what spare parts you should buy and what parts you shouldn't buy. First of all, I'm going to go over cons and bad points. And there's not really a lot to say bad about this helicopter. I don't like to give it a bad name. It's a very good helicopter. But there's a few little things I feel could be a little bit better. First of all, the servos. Now I know they're linear servos that are on this. They need to be just because of the size of the helicopter. However, they are quite weak servos, as you can see here. Small linear servos, and they move up and down like that. Now these are perfectly adequate for indoor flying, but if you take it outside, which a lot of people will be tempted to do, they're not really going to stand up to any wind or even the mildest of breezes. These aren't really going to give you a lot of control, and you're going to end up crashing. So no, they're not the best, but they're okay, do the job. Now secondly, anti-rotation collar on the head, in particular the top collar. Now this, it's not really a problem, but when you crash it, because it's plastic, it doesn't break, it just tends to spread itself open. You won't really be able to see this very well on the video, but after a few crashes it will spread itself open, causing the linkages to move around more freely, and in turn this causes slop in the head, and of course that reduces the manoeuvrability, the speed the heli will move at, and also the flybar it seems to make the flybar hit the bottom of the blades when you're performing sort of very fast manoeuvres at speed, which obviously isn't very good. Secondly, which I found the most annoying thing about the helicopter, it's not really a major thing at all, but the tail fin. The tail fin seems to unbalance the helicopter, makes it slightly tail heavy. I've been flying it without the tail fin, which makes it harder to fly, especially when you're going forward. But I think you can fly it without the tail fin, quite the thing. If anything, it's going to teach you, you're going to learn more from the helicopter by flying it like this. The problems I found with the tail fin are because it clips on and off, it either, when you crash, it's going to ping off and you'll lose it for days at a time, which has happened to me. Or you'll land hard, it'll twist to the side like that, you'll not notice it, and when you go to start the heli up, you'll notice your tail rotor will just stick, it won't move, and you're at risk of burning your 5-in-1 out doing that. So for me, got rid of that and flew it like that, which I found after a few packs through it I was getting very used to flying it without the tail fin, no problem. Fourth, we've got the skids. Now, I've heard somebody say before these are designed to break. Totally disagree with that, they're not designed to break at all. However, they're one of the first things that do break. You notice here there's a mounting post here for the skids. The front one's missing, that's because it's broken off, and that is quite a common problem on the mSRs. It's just basically one of the things that takes the most impact when you're landing and crashing. So definitely you will get yourself a set of them if you're buying an MSR. Okay, and next it is the blade grips. For me, these were the first things to break on my MSR. No wonder the way I fly it. So what happened with mine, it seems to be, I'm not going to say a design flaw, but it could be a little bit better. Where the blade grips, the screws that hold them together, there's two screws, where they screw in, the screws seem to split the plastic. It's kind of, it's okay at first, but then after about 10-20 crashes, you know, you're going to end up splitting the plastic. And what happened to mine is I was flying it, never noticed, and the rotor head split into two pieces and fell apart in midair. looked quite good at the time, but obviously I had to go to the local hobby store and get a new set of blade grips. They're not expensive, you know, parts for this are cheap, readily available as well, but you know, they're the things that tend to go on the mSR first. Okay, now on to the good parts. Okay, obviously I've spoke to you a little bit about the batteries already. Now we've got here the normal E-Flite batteries. You can also use the battery from the Blade MCX, which is a slightly longer battery, 150 mAh rather than 120, and Hobby King also do Turnigy batteries, very cheap. I think they're about $1 a battery rather than $10 for these, so definitely want to get yourself a few of those. Can't afford not to, really. Just give yourself a bit of extra flight time. Of course, with it being built by Horizon Hobby, which is also basically the same company as Spectrum, it can be bound to all the Spectrum transmitters like the DX6i, which is probably the most popular one people use for it. So bearing that in mind, you can buy that as a combo with the helicopter, so it's definitely a good thing, something you want to consider doing as well. Better than the stock transmitter obviously, and it's a programmable computer radio. I'm sure many of you are aware. Another thing I like about this is, with a lot of other helicopters as well, it has the wee swash plate down here. You can put it on the long arms, and on this one it certainly gives you a lot of throw. I can bank this over to about a 45-degree angle, if not more than that. So it's certainly, I like to call it sport mode, because it really livens up the helicopter a lot. Very good once you've got past your initial hovering and learning stage with the helicopter. And that gets me on to the final thing, the best part about this helicopter: orientation. Because unlike with the E-Sky Honeybee, you're never at fear of breaking anything with this helicopter. You know, you can throw this thing about the place, you can crash in anything, not water though, anything else apart from water or fire, and this will live through it to tell the tale. This will not break. It is a brilliant little helicopter. The only part I've had to replace is the blade grips. Everything else is still standard. Even the tail rotors, the bend, and all I do is just bend the pitch back out on them, tips out a little bit, and there we go, good to go again. This thing does not break, it is practically invincible, and that's the best thing. You're going to develop your orientation very quickly with this helicopter, and in turn that's going to benefit you for when you go out to fly your Honeybee, your 450, your bigger helicopter, anything at all. This is going to be the building blocks for you in this hobby. This is a very good little helicopter. So, you know, I think I've pretty much covered everything there. What parts you want to buy quickly, I'm going to very quickly let you know what you're going to want to buy. First of all, skids, buy them, okay? They're not expensive. Buy at least one blade grip, two if you can, because they are going to go, you know, in crashes. They're not going to last forever. They are aluminium upgrades, but I've heard they're just the throw that you get, so this thing's all about performance, so you don't want to do that. Then you want to forget buying plastic anti-rotation collars, buy the bottom and the top aluminium upgrade ones. I've not heard anything bad about them, and they won't bend out like the plastic ones do in crashes. You get yourself a couple of them, again pretty inexpensive. Another thing you want to do, buy the tail assembly. It comes with the carbon fibre tail boom, motor and a little rotor blade. Not too expensive, it's not something you're going to have to replace straight away, but I'd get one because the little motor there does work hard, and after a couple of weeks of hard flying my one was starting to get a bit noisy. And the last thing you want to do, get yourself a main motor. Now this is what killed my 5-in-1. The main motor gave out, kind of short circuited or something like that, and it's blew the 5-in-1. So you want to really be getting yourself a main motor. And I think that's pretty much covered everything.